This video is brought to you by Greater Commons. Greater learning, greater opportunities, greater life. Visit us at greatercommons.com.
Saw how to declare variables, and this is the short declaration operator. And when you do this, it figures out the type for you. And if I wanted to, I could see the type with format printing. So I could go to printf, and then I could printf. If I want to see what printf does, I could go to godoc.org. Right, and I could come back here and I could look at this code, and it's from the fumpt package. It's from package fumpt, and you can see I'm importing package fumpt. So I could go to godoc.org, and I can say, all right, well, let's look up this package fumpt. And that's what it's called. It's called fumpt. And at package fumpt, I always like to start at the index. So I scroll down to the index in a package, and I could see there's a whole bunch of stuff for printing. If you worked in other programming languages, a lot of this stuff will look kind of familiar. There's print, there's print line, there's printf. Printf takes a format string, takes a string. This is the type, this is the variable name. They just gave it the name format, but it's of type string. Takes a variable of type string, and this is empty interface. An empty interface in Go means any type. And so then it could take an unlimited number of arguments of any type, right? And so that's what the ... means. So you're learning a new language, and we talked about this last week. Salamalat Jalan, Salamalat Tinggal. You guys don't know Indonesian, so that doesn't mean anything to you. But if you spend a little time there, you'd be saying, hey man, Salamalat Tinggal, right? You'd be speaking it a little bit. Same thing here. Right now, this is like, what the heck are they talking about? Well, you know, hang out a little bit, and you'll get the language. All right. So, so there's the printf, and so printf will take a format verb, and I'm going to use %t. And if I go and I look at the format verbs up here, right? %t is somewhere in this list, right there, and it'll tell me the type of the value. The type of the value. Cool. Right? And so I come here and I give it the value, and I could say, you know, show me what A is, and then I also want to see what B is. And these get passed in. And so I could put whatever I want here. This is just a string, but these get passed in. A is going to get assigned to that first one. B is going to get assigned to this one. So when I format my code and run it, it tells me, hey, A is an int and B is an int. If this was 45 and run it, A is an int and B is a float 64. If this was McLeod and I run it, A is an int and B is a string. So I'm just finding out the type of the value. The value. Values are of a certain type, okay? And so the main thing is declaring a variable, but also knowing that variables store values. A variable stores a value, and that value is of a certain type. The short declaration operator will take care of the type for you. We saw how we could do var c as an int, and then down here we could say c equals, you know, 45, and then we could print out c, and I could do let's go look. %v, the value in a default format. And here, down here it tells me the default format of %v, and this is just FYI. Somewhere down here it tells me the default format of %v. Command F, %v. Here are the default formats of %v. So it figures it out if it needs to print out the code for a bool or for an int, right, or float or string, right? So %v is kind of like an easy. So %v of c, and if I run it, print it out 45. Just print it out the value. Format my code. And I could also do it up here. So in the last video, I tried to declare up there on the second line. You have to be on the same line, and that works too, right? If you want. So this is when I declare variable c is declared of type int, and it receives a 0 value. And so int, the 0 value of an int is 0. the 0 value of a float 64 is 0. The 0 value of a bool, which is true or false, is going to be false. Okay? So declaring and assigning variables. Now I had you guys do some math. Had you all do some math. And the math was like 3 and 5. And then we did A plus B. And I'm going to change this from printf to print line. Print line will print it and then give me a new line. So if I had something else here, right? At the end of this, it gives me a new line. This one did not give me a new line. So if I had something more, something else and something more on the same line, because I used print right here and not print line. All right, and I could go into the funct package and read about those different functions. And if I wanted to, I could read about escape characters, and I could say that's the escape character for a new line. Just looking to see if they talk about escape characters in here. Specification, once we go into the specification. And so here are the escape characters. So that's a new line. Carriage return, single quote, double quote, backslash. Yeah. So when I have a new line escape character there, it put a new line in even though I only have print. So we did this.